guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the Steinberg UR22mkII USB audio interface. Now this is a two-channel or two-input interface. It plugs into the USB port of your computer or even your iPad. Anyhow, the USB port also powers the machine as well. Now up front, of course, you've got your channels 1 and channel 2, or left and right, depending on how you're hooking stuff up. And you've got a gain knob for each one. You've got your mix and your DAW, as well as headphones and control for that, and a main output which goes to some speaker output ports in the back of this, so you can have external speakers that are powered. I could even plug my studio monitors in the back of this thing if I wanted to, but I don't want to use those ports for that, just simply because I'm going through my mixing board. And from my mixing board, I'm coming off of my record output jacks. Now, my mixing board has USB out, so it's like, well, why do you need this? Well, because my output on my mixing board absolutely sucks. And even at full record out maxed, I'm still not getting enough signal even into GarageBand, let alone any other program. And in order to get that level up, I would have to actually use the EQ in GarageBand or whatever program and raise the levels. And you start clipping stuff, and it makes things sound like crap. So you want awesome sound. You don't want to overdrive the signal even coming out of the board. You want to have a clean signal through. And what this box allows me to do is coming from my record out on my mixer to the inputs here, which I'm using as a left and a right, from the left and rights off the mixer. And now my record out is actually set about halfway up the slider, and then these dials, because of where I have it set on the mixer, are pretty much at about the 3 o'clock position, and so I've got plenty of signal, as you'll see in a few minutes. Now you also have input, on input 2 side, on that channel only, you have a high and low Z switch, depending on what instruments are going into there, type of thing, and you would adjust it accordingly. Now the jacks are also what's called triple jacks, so the jacks support a tip ring or TR plug, which is your standard guitar plug, or TRS, which is tip ring sleeve, which is the plugs I'm using, which is a balance cable. And of course I've got balanced leads coming out of each record port, so I've got TRS to TRS. Or you can also use microphone XLR cable. And you don't even have to have an XLR cable on your mic. You can, if you got just like a T plug, like a tip ring, or even a TRS plug out the end of your microphone, you could plug either style into this and it'll work fine. You also have peak meters too, so if you're overdriving the signal, it's going to let you know, so you want to just kind of like back it off until you're not peaking it anymore. Of course, your power indicator light here too is on. And anyhow, so some of the things I ran across initially setting this thing up. Now, on a Macintosh system, you technically don't have to install the driver, unless it's probably like a really old operating system version you're running. Then you might want to update your driver, and in that case, you'd be okay. I didn't have to install the driver, but what I ran into, because I am running the most current Mac operating system of OS High Sierra. Anyway, so the problem I ran into initially was when I fired up GarageBand, I only got access to a channel, so it's like I had an input that wouldn't work, and I was like, so I called the music store, because there's nothing covered in the book under that, you know, other than some stuff, but it didn't make sense to me, right? So I called the music store up. I talked to my buddy Robin, because he knows a lot about this stuff, and we went through it, and you know, actually fixed the problem in the end. Turned out it was on GarageBand side, but you want to make sure that if you're going to use 2 inputs and you want the 2 tracks in there, you have to make sure you select that in your program, whether it's GarageBand or any program. And so anyways, as you fire up GarageBand, you get this sort of thing, input device, and I have my choices. So we want to use the Steinberg UR22 driver. Output is built-in output. I can also output because my microphone actually has the ability to project sound and as well as take in sound, system setting or whatever. So I just leave built-in output, okay? So I want to start an empty project, so I just double click. And now here's where you can get into some trouble, which I did. Mine was originally on input number 1, because I figured, you know, 1 USB port, and away you go, right? So If you select that, you're going to get one track only. You need to select inputs 1 and 2, right? So, because you've got 2 inputs in the box. You want to make sure that's on 1 and 2, you know, and then you can do 2 tracks if you want. Now, if you only want track 1 or track 2 only, that's fine. You know, it depends what you're plugging into this, whether it's microphone, guitar, whatever, right? But I need 1 and 2, so I can do 2 tracks. So I say, okay, I want ports 1 and 2, and I'm going to use microphone or line input. Okay, so even though you're going to get a picture of a microphone, GarageBand only gives you so much, right? Your other one is connect a guitar or bass to your Mac to play and record through virtual amps and pedals effects, which you could choose that too if you want to use their virtual amps. I want to use my Boss amp and all my effects that are built into it, plus my external effects, which I could do in this, but then I'd have to create a clean amp sound in order to do it. So it's like, why bother? So we just go here, because I'm on line input anyways, coming off my mixer. So here we have the audio system. Now, go to Preferences, and just double check and make sure that you are selected. You'll get the little thing that just showed up there quick and disappears. Now, what you want to know is your input. Am I getting any signal in? Well, apparently I'm not getting any signal in right now. You know, it's going through my mixer. But why am I not seeing anything here going on? You know, it's like, oh, maybe I have to hit record first? Yep, you got to hit record first. So, and then once you stop the recording, you're fine, and you know it'll still go. Now I have my pan control set in the middle. So let's say I want to set it just to the left side, or I want to fade some of that in. So I can adjust it from my mixer to exactly where I want it. So I choose where my levels are going to hit there. Okay, so I want to show you something a little different here too. So let's get this pedal going here. Now I'm going to turn my looper pedal on. Now you notice both meters are going at once, right? Now if we record this, now I have my volume turned off on the guitar, right? Now I'm going to turn the volume on. And I'm just playing along just to follow with the beat. Let's turn that off. Now let's go to the playback. So now I'm going to play back through here. Now my looper pedal is not pushing out a lot of juice because of where my fader position is, but watch what happens when we get to the guitar. I have my guitar up higher, right? And you can still hear that drum beat going in the back with it at the same time. Okay, so let's stop there. Now, I want to have, say, well, let's turn the looper on. Full left. Okay, let's go full right. Full right. I want to bring just a hair of it into the left. Just a little bit, okay? And my guitar, we're going to go more into the left and less into the right. I'm going to bring that looper pedal up a bit more. Okay, so let's rewind that. Turn off the looper now. Turn off the guitar. Now the playback is through my computer speakers. So with this, what it's handy having the mixer, especially if you got multiple things you want to do. Instead of plugging in, plugging out, and all that other jazz, get yourself a mixer that's going to do you for the amount of channels that you would need. I've got a 12 channel. It works perfect because I got my piano mic, my piano, my wireless mic. I've got a microphone to mic up my amp if I want to go that route. Of course, my looper pedal, my main piano, but bass guitar, my Katana mini amp, and of course I have an MP3 player just so I can listen to music through my system, because I don't like using like iTunes and stuff. It just, I don't like it, and it's other programs sucking up resources and memory when I'm trying to do other things. But you can see you can like balance stuff out. Now you can do the same kind of balancing manually on the box and do the same thing to get a mix going on like that if you're using just two things. But if I want to add vocals in, well, and a looper and the guitar, with just having just a straight box, you would have to do some fancy unplugging and multiple tracks. I like to try and mix everything on one track, record it, and get it over with. So the only way to do that is to have my mix set up for all my levels beforehand, do some testing, make sure everything sounds right. Then when I'm ready, then I can go cut my track and I'm done. And I've got nothing to do except maybe a fade out. And if I have any kind of a fade in to do, I can do that. But the reproduction of the audio is all 24-bit in the end, which is really nice about this box that I really like. Right? Now, we were talking about the driver CD. Now this is Mac or PC drivers on here. You shouldn't need the Mac drivers if you're running the most current operating system on the Mac. Okay? However, if you install these drivers and you are running the most current OS, because of the problems I had at first, one of the things that was suggested was to install the drivers maybe. Maybe there was a driver issue, right? So I installed these drivers and everything seemed to work okay. But like I said, in the end it turned out it was just the input selection. Because even going down here I didn't have access to 1 and 2. I had 1 or 2. And now I have 1 and 2 as my input down below here. In my record settings. So that was something that was kind of a my bad thing, but it's something to learn because not everybody's going to click in on this, so part of doing this video, right? However, installing these drivers, everything seemed to initially work fine. When I went to go and shut down my computer last night, it had an error, a really bad one, and it put my computer in a constant loop of restart in that I would try and it would restart my computer and I would have to go shut down again, and it would do the whole restart thing again. It would come up with an error saying, there was a problem, blah, 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 and you got to restart your Mac. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I didn't do anything. Oh, wait, I installed these drivers, and so I don't know, like, how current this stuff is as far as OS goes, but Mac OS High Sierra cannot use the drivers on this CD. Now, one of the channels I watch is called In the Blues, and he's really awesome. I love his channel. And he got the same box, and he didn't have to install drivers, which I didn't either, right, on my Mac. And but the problems that I ran into, because he wasn't trying to do 2 tracks at once, the problems I ran into, we thought maybe it was a driver thing. Maybe I had a bad driver or something. And yeah, so do not use this CD if you have a current OS. Now, the thing is it's not going to screw up your Mac completely. What you'll do is it'll reboot your computer back to the desktop, put the CD back in, run the uninstaller, and get rid of this. But before you do that, unplug your Steinberg box, okay? Then you can uninstall the driver and then restart your Mac. Everything will be cleaned right up. You'll be fine again. Now, I don't know about operating systems lower, than OS Sierra if you're going to need this CD. But the only way to find out is plug the unit in and everything's working peachy cream, you're good. You know, if you have a problem, you know, or your Mac has got an old enough OS on it that it doesn't find the driver for some reason, you're going to probably want the driver on here, okay? And like I said, it's a dual formatted CD, so PC or Mac, you know, so because this box works on either platform. Now, you also get, with this, you download it, is Cubase, and they give you a code as well. Now, major recording software compatible. Pro Tools, Logic Pro, Live, Reason, Studio One, Sonar, GarageBand, Cubase, Wavelab, Nuendo, and QBias, I guess it is, through high performance ASIO core audio, WDM drivers, iPad connectivity via the mode on the back there. All product names herein are trademarks of their respective holders. Now that's the sticker that's on the front of the box that I have here. And in the box is like, I got stuff falling out of this thing. I should have actually left stuff out of it. But anyway, so there's the box, and there's a little sticker to look for, whatnot. This is a 2x2 USB audio interface, okay? 192 kilobit support, which is 24-bit HD. It is like the best audio reproduction you're going to get, at least at this point in time in the world. And I picked up a couple of these Yorkville cables, which I use to attach my mixer into it, and this way I make use of everything that I want it. Now, like I said, you may not need a mixer. I need my mixer involved, so my mixer goes record outs right into the box. And like I said, you still got outputs in the back that has a MIDI interface as well. So if you have MIDI devices, you can hook up like MIDI keyboards and all that jazz and have a blast with it. This thing has way more features than I actually need, but it is a really good quality product. And, you know, I might, down the road, actually, you know, get a MIDI device and plug it in. You know, I might want to have another set of external speakers going off just the back end of the box, you know, just to make use of that feature, I guess. I'm going to try the headphones on it. I do have headphones I'm going to try using, see what they're like. I do have a bass guitar, but everything, see, I use that line input feed, like I showed you here at the beginning here. Empty project, and I use this, record using a microphone or line input, okay, or drag and drop audio files. But that's the selection you want if you're going to be doing the sort of thing I'm doing, okay. If you're going to play with the guitar amps built in, you can also do that as well, no problem, okay. And you can plug your guitar cable or your wireless unit direct into the box. You can go via a mixer like I'm doing, you know, that sort of thing. Because I can plug my wireless direct into my DI box, which bypasses my Katana amp. And then I would use this selection, and then I could use all the built-in modeling amps and effect pedals and all that other jazz that comes with GarageBand. But for other stuff, you know, you use this, because it's also a main line signal, and I'm using it as a line signal because of my mixer. So I plug my guitars and all that other stuff into my mixing board, so I don't need to worry about using GarageBand guitar effects unless I want to play with that stuff. And also too, when you're in here, GarageBand is a really huge and awesome program. You've got all these drum beats and stuff and other effects that are part of GarageBand, and it's like it's an endless list of fun. Like, it's just incredible. There's like 4,201 items to play around with. Plus, you can still import your MP3 stuff, play along with a tune, cut your tracks with that stuff as well. You know, there's like a lot that GarageBand can do. It's a really, really good program. You know, even here in the main control area, I can manipulate stuff even beyond my mixer. So I can do stuff on my mixer, then, you know, shove this stuff through and add extra ambience and cut out, you know, mid frequencies. I can throw a compressor on there. You know, if I don't have a compressor on my guitar, for example, or on my microphone, I can compress the microphone side. You know, it's a lot of fun, this program. And I've spent quite a bit of time on GarageBand. I really like it. Plus the full-fledged EQ. Now the EQ section is where I used to have to go to raise things up here. But you can only raise this so high, and you start making your audio sound horrible. So I would rather have it sound great going in, and then if I wanted to raise it even just a little bit if I needed to, I could, or I could drop it down. Depending on how you set your gains on your box, depending on how you set your gains on your mixer going into your box. You know, you're going to have to play around with different things, you know. But the advantage of the mixing board is the pan control, which this can work as a pan control with the 2 channels, which is fine. But, you know, sometimes, oh, I forgot where I had that for whatever. Well, that's why I leave this alone the way it is, and I'm through a mixer, because then I can just monkey with pan controls up on the board and go, okay, I need a little bit more there, a little bit more there, you know, and I have more control with the mixer to tell this box what you're going to be doing, you know, and it works out great that way. Now, as far as my thoughts, I paid $200, well, it's $200 box, brand new, Canadian dollars, plus tax, and then the cables. I can't remember what the cables were, but either way, it's worth every penny of the $200 as far as I'm concerned. It's built rugged, it's got weight to it, it's got durability, you know, very strong steel casing. You know, it's built for portability and, you know, all that sort of jazz. And you can use it with your iPad on the go, too, which is nice. You know, an iPad does have GarageBand, right? But as far as even being out on the PC side, PC or Mac, you know, same box, same machine. You know, I think it's a wonderful machine. It's clean. It's got, you know, loaded with even features that I don't even need, like I said, and that's fine. It does the job I need it to do, and it does it beautifully, you know. And I think it's definitely worth the money. As far as this star rating stuff goes, I mean, I give star ratings because people like that sort of thing. You know, I would definitely say that this would, you know, easily be a 4.5 out of 5. You know, and I say that because I ran into a couple glitches, and the manual didn't cover my troubleshooting problem very well. Okay, but that was just, in the end, it was stupidity of not paying attention to when I fired up GarageBand. The driver CD, I really don't think that the CD should be able to install on a newer Mac OS. I think there should be some kind of a code written into the installer that says, oh, you're running the most current Mac OS, you don't need this program. You know, because, you know, programs have been written like that in the past by other companies where it's like, oh, sorry, not going to happen, this is why. And I think that should be something, because that would save people a panic. Like, I'm hoping this video saves you guys the panic. Because, I mean, I'm sure this is not the only device that uses Steinberg drivers where you could end up in that problem, right? That's the thing. And so any other companies that are using the Steinberg driver set for their interfaces, I think it should be the same thing, you know. Write a little piece of code in there on the install, and if, you know, it searches and says that you got the most current OS, then it shouldn't allow you to install the driver, because it's going to freak you out when you do a shutdown and you get that error show up. And, you know, it reminded me of Windows blue screen of death in a way, if you remember that. You know, it's like, hey, what's going on? And, you know, it reboots. Oh, maybe just a glitch. Who knows? And, you know, and then you go to shut off again. Oh, again and again. And it's like, this is driving me a little nuts, right? And so just be aware of that, you know, that if you are running current OS, especially for Mac, I can't say anything about the PC side, but Mac side, definitely do not attempt to install these drivers if you're running Mac OS High Sierra. If you're running a lower OS and it finds the driver when you plug the machine in, fine, no big deal. You work with the driver, and if it has no problems or glitches, great. Otherwise, I mean, you may need the CD, especially if you're running a really old Mac OS. You may need this CD because of compatibility with your OS. So that's something to keep in mind. So don't ditch the CD. And if you don't have a CD player on your Mac, well, you best be finding a way to transfer that file to a CD, or if that can be done, I don't know if they've encoded the CD to prevent that. The other option, of course, would be get yourself an external CD-ROM. I've got an Apple CD-ROM. I paid like, I think, $100 for it, brand new. But I mean, you can get third-party USB CDs that'll work with any USB ported Mac, and just plug in and go, and you've got CD-ROM access. Because we have a third-party one here that we use, and it works on my Mac. And you know, I wanted an Apple one, and I wanted the silver and the sleek design and slot load, so that's what I got, and that's what I wanted. So, you know, and it stays on my computer all the time. But overall, yeah, great machine. Highly recommend it. Like I said, worth the money. 4.5 out of 5 stars on this sucker. And just remember that when you fire up your programs, if you want 2 tracks from both of these, then you got to make sure you activate that in your program, that you want 2 tracks active. Otherwise, it will only activate one of those ports. Okay, so something to be aware of. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. This is going to make a huge, huge difference in the quality output of my music stuff that I do now. Even more so. I mean, it was great before, but it's going to be way better now, especially now that I get to go from a 16-bit input to a 24-bit outside conversion, and I'm full 24 HD. Also, one last thing I'll mention, because I was going to buy an iRig device. Again, yes, I don't know, it's me. You won't need an iRig if you have this box, okay, or any USB interface box designed to handle instruments and microphones. You will not need an iRig HD device. So that's kind of a nice little bonus that way, because that just saved me like $100 and some for the newest iRig HD that's out in the market, because I was actually going to buy one, and now I don't need it because I got everything going direct in either way. So I'm good to rock and roll. Anyways, thanks a lot. Catch you on the next one. Stay tuned for more gear videos and other upcoming stuff that I got going on, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.